Hey there, it's Andy with Reverb. You know, over the years I've gotten a lot of questions about guitar gear and pedals, and many of you want to know my own favorites. So I think it's long overdue that I put together a list of my top 5 pedals of all time. We'll be splitting this one up into 2 parts, with today being 5, 4, and 3, and if you tune in next week you'll catch my top 2, as well as all 5 pedals together on one board. I hope they stack nicely. So let's start with number 5. When I thought back to the pedal that was always on my board since day one, that was the Wah Wah pedal, and more specifically, I like the voice of a classic Vox Wah. You know, when it comes to the voicing of a wah pedal, everyone has their own idea of the perfect sweep. Personally, I like something with plenty of that mid-range honk of the late 60s, but I also like a lot of treble content, since I tend to approach the wah less of like, a funk machine, but more like an expression-controlled filter. The heart of any classic wah design is its inductor, and this King Vox Wah has what's known as the stack of dimes inductor. Very different from the classic phasal, TDK, or halo inductor of the earlier Vox Wahs. If you don't want to shell out for a vintage Vox Wah, I originally started out with the basic V847 reissue from the 90s. Or if you're like me and it's all about the treble, you could check out a clone of the Vox Grey Wah, just like this Wilson Effects one I had built earlier in the year. It has an inductor with half the value of a normal one, and it gives you a brighter treble sweep, just like Page used on the Zeppelin 1 album. The next one on my list shouldn't come as a surprise, and for delay effects, it's my all-time favorite, and that's based on the EP3 Echoplex. Of course, I'm talking about the Catalinbread Belle Epoch Deluxe. If you want to find out what I love about the Echoplex, you could check out the vintage demo I did a few months back. But let's just focus on one of the things I love about this pedal, and that's getting a little bit of that preamp grit, and also just using a little bit of slapback delay to enhance the solo, as opposed to using a boost or other distortion. Secondly, I love how the Belle Epoch Deluxe is true to an Echoplex. When the repeats are longer and they fade out, you start to hear the low end drop out, and the signal actually gets a little bit brighter as opposed to darker. And coming in at number 3, it's my old trusty op-amp Big Muff from the late 70s from Electro Harmonix. Now you might have been expecting a fuzz face over the Big Muff, and it was a really hard decision. I think the fuzz face is probably in the number 6 slot. I chose the op-amp Big Muff because it's a really versatile pedal and you could use it with single coils or humbuckers, and that op-amp circuit really tightens up the low end and it really helps with my fingerstyle playing, so it's better suited for my tastes. So there's 2 things I want to show you about this op-amp Big Muff. It has plenty of gain, but you could also use it at low gain settings, and it has one of my favorite features from this era, and that's the tone bypass. If you want to try out an op-amp Big Muff, your best bet is just to get the Reissue, which came out recently. They're all over Reverb, and thankfully, they're all under $100. Well, there you go. There's part 1 of my top 5 pedals of all time. Like I said, it was a really hard decision to make, and there's a lot of pedals I've been playing over the years that just couldn't fit on a top 5 list. So be sure to check in next week where I go through the top 2 and I put them all together in a really exciting and hopefully very good sounding pedal board. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.